Welcome into On Texas Football. Time for lunch with the coaches. I'm Bobby Burton, joined by Bob Shipley and Bryan Erwin, both very successful high school coaches for years or decades even in the Texas high school coaching ranks. Also had spent some time in the college ranks as well. Both of them did. Thank you all for joining us. This episode brought to you by our friend Laura Baker over at Keller Williams Realty there in Austin. Again, Keller Williams Realty. Laura Baker. We'll talk to you more about her a little bit later. All right, guys. Look, Longhorns narrowly lose this game to Georgia. I want to talk a little bit about that, and then I want to talk a little bit looking forward towards Clemson. Bob, I'm going to give you the start here. Name some of the positives you saw from the team on Saturday.
Well, I just think overall defensively, was the one part of the three aspects of the game that we continue to excel in. We continue to, unfortunately, their starter got hurt at quarterback back and came out in the second half and really weren't probably game plan much against a backup quarterback. So that, set us back a little bit. But the way this defense plays and the way that they continue to find a way to shut down explosive offenses, especially with the running game, is we know this. We've seen it. Georgia's own team that's beat us all year, and we're people are going to have to really are really going to have to handle us in order to beat us the way our defense is playing. Our offense obviously is there were some positive things in the game, but obviously the things that stick out to us are the missed opportunities and the things that we didn't do well offensively. But overall, I think. I think defensively we're playing at a championship level. It sounds funny saying that, losing in the conference championship game, but we didn't lose the game because of defense.
Bryan, what about you? Positives?
Yeah.
Did you think about it?
Yeah, from the game, I'm with Bob 1,000%. Defense is playing lights out, elite. What our defense did there towards the end, when they break off that big run down the sidelines, we chase him down. We knock him out of bounds. We hold him to 3 right there. That game's 10-6. They go up 17-6. I don't think so. But we hold them right there, hold them to a field goal. They go up 13-6. Now we got the opportunity to come back tied up, get it to overtime. So that was a huge stop. And then after Quinn's second interception, that was almost Katie bar the door. And our defense rose up, stood up, got a stop. They got a holding call. Then we come up with a big INT. So those two defensive stands, one to hold them to 3, the other one to hold them to nothing and get a turnover and then get the ball back to our offense so we go down there and tie it up. So, I thought that was huge. The other thing I think about, Bobby, is from a positive standpoint, is just where we are. Before the season, Bobby, Bob, Bryan, would you take 11-2? Yes, I would. Would you take an overtime loss to Georgia in the SEC championship? Yes, I would. Would you take a win against Texas A&M and OU? Yeah, I would. Would you take a number 3 final ranking in the country? You betcha. Fantastic season. Very, very positive. It's tough to get beat anytime you get beat, especially when we've got the team we've got and the defense we've got. But overall, I'm so pleased with this football team, how they coach, how they play, the effort, the camaraderie. They love each other. We just didn't quite play well enough the other night to get it done, but that doesn't mean we won't win the rest of them from here on out.
Good stuff there, Bryan. I agree with you. I think I was nodding my head. I think Coach Shipley was too. Look, 11-2 back in the college football playoffs, number 5 seed overall in the playoffs, number 3 ranking or 4 ranking, whatever it's the AP or coaches, what have you. This season reestablished Texas as a true national power. Last year, it could have been a one-time thing, right? And Texas didn't let it be a one-time thing, whether that's the players, the coaches, whomever. Texas did a great job there. I would add one more positive from that game that I really took away. Andrew Makuba. Man, what did he have a game or what? And
he was the best DB on the field.
Yeah. I think on either team, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The entire day.
Yeah.
If we're going to give a shout out to an individual, Silas Bolden. He that guy showed some huevos. I mean, he's the kind of guy you'll win or lose with, and I love that cat. He showed some toughness. Caught that ball over the middle a couple times. It's punt return acumen that he's got. So I love that kid too.
Yeah. They had guys. I mean, Texas had individual players try to do it. Some of the negatives that happened in this game, though, are important to mention as well. You guys, Bob, you very specifically said, "Hey, we won. Our defense played well enough," but you said one side of the ball or one aspect of the three. What about the defense or the offense necessarily and the special teams issues you saw there?
Well, I mean, offensively, inability to protect the quarterback, inability of the receivers to hang on the ball. We dropped 6 balls, and that's just in a championship game. That's just not acceptable, as they say. And then you go into the special teams, and just another thing that's another game that was disappointing. I keep feeling like we're going to have a breakout game special teams wise, because I know we have the staff. I know we have the emphasis on it. I know it's something they work on, but it's been a little disappointing that we've given up more big plays than we've made, many more. And but I agree with Bryan with Silas Bolden back there. We always have a chance, because it ain't going to be because he's too scared to field it. That's for sure. And that kind of bravery, that kind of heroic effort, the team feeds off of that. And they see a little 160-pound guy, whatever he weighs, back there with people coming down, running full speed with one thing in mind, and that's to knock his head off at the shoulder. And he fields it anyway and goes with that. That's the kind of stuff that fires teams up.
I got to ask you, the special teams, the 4th down call by Kirby Smart, play of the game in your opinion, maybe?
Yes. Yeah, no doubt. Play the game. Call the game. He attacked us right there. We didn't expect it. The ball's on their own 30-yard line. It's 4th and 6 or 7. I mean, it's not.
It was middle, 4th and mid, yeah.
Yeah, and they end up getting, I think, 9 yards on the play. So they had a scouter right there. They knew we were going to be holding up, turning our back and running. I remember I ran something similar against Cedar Hill one year, and we had rep after rep after rep when those guys, they're just going to hold up, they're going to turn and run with you. They're going to hold up, they're going to turn and run with you. And our punter just stuck the ball like he's going to punt it, and he just took off running right down the middle of the field. And he's chasing these cats. He's chasing them down the field. They have no idea he's behind them. So, but that was the similar deal when we were double teaming their outside gunner. And I think it was Maurice Blackwell. He's got his back turned, and he thinks he's doing a great job on the gunner, and that guy runs right past him, right past his back. But, that was a fantastic call. I also think, Bobby, from a negative standpoint, getting your butt kicked in the run game the way we did, you got to be able to run the ball. I heard Nick Saban talking the other day. It's going to come down to the most physical team that ends up winning this tournament. And we've got to be more physical on the offensive line. And getting beat the way we got beat in the run game. You take the quarterback runs or sacks out of it. I had a number. The number was 58 Texas, 158 Georgia. I took the quarterback sacks out of it. 58 Texas, 158 Georgia. And that's not going to get it done. The interceptions, turnovers, we lost the interception battle 2-1. And then special teams. We averaged 39 yards a punt. They averaged 53, and that's per punt. I can't remember off the top of my head how many we had or they had, but that's 14-yard differential per punt. That's a first down and a half per punt. The margin for error is so small in these championship games. Bobby, 2 years ago, we started off coach's show. Remember that preseason? I'm talking about how far Georgia kicked the ball off and where their kickoff splashed down to be the championship type of team. These are the margins that it takes to be a champion. They've got a championship level punter. Right now, we don't. They've got a championship level kicker. Right now, we don't. And going 4 for 6 in field goals is not acceptable. Not indoors. Not indoors. It's not acceptable. So you factor in all the special teams things there with punting, with field goals, with the fake punt, getting okey doke there. That's a negative. The penalties in the first half, again, penalties, turnovers, special teams, running game. We got our butts kicked in those 4 areas. Those 4 areas that every coach will tell you in a championship game, you need to win them. You need to win 3 of the 4. And we did not win any of them. So the good news is I think we can fix most of it, hopefully, and go from there. But those are the negatives I saw.
Here's one thing I want to add to that, Bobby and Bryan, is that I don't know why. Nobody can probably put their finger on exactly why, but we were able to run the ball against a very good A&M defensive line last week. This week we weren't. For the second time we played Georgia in a row. The simple fact of the matter is, and like I said, I don't know why, but sometimes you just don't match up well with other fronts for whatever reason. I don't know if it's scheme, coaching, 1 or 2 players. I don't know what it is, but we matched up really well with A&M. We don't match up well with Georgia with their defensive front. So we may come in this week and run the heck out of the ball against Clemson. Everybody says, well, we got it fixed. No, we don't have it fixed. We just match up with them better than we did with Georgia.
Yeah, I think you're partially right. I've watched the game 3 times now. Hayden Connor was getting pushed anytime he pulled. So that they were resetting the line of scrimmage on any kind of outside thing that he was moving. If he was going short to his side of the field or across the center, he was getting pushed back 2 yards in the backfield. They were resetting that, and Weiser's running off his butt. And then Georgia has those linebackers that can fill like as well as anybody.
Yeah.
I don't want to just point. I'm not trying to just single out Hayden Connor, but he was the one that I think has the higher center of base, if that makes sense, and was the one that they were able to most effectively kind of dislodge.
I think if we play them again, we really need to take a look at reducing our number of run schemes. You got to get those guys on the move. You got to cover up down line. And I saw too many times in our zone scheme, we just bypassed the nose guard. And in your zone schemes, you got to get a body on a body. You got to get them moving. You come off and base block these guys, you're not moving them. The gap schemes are going to be really tough because it's hard to move them. But if we can zone them and not bypass a nose tackle and expect the backside guard to get on him, because by that time that guy's so big and strong, he's pushed the line of scrimmage, into the backfield. So we got to get bodies on bodies, work his own scheme, try to get them moving a little bit laterally, because we didn't get them moving laterally at all. To get those guys to almost use their size, use their strength and speed to create a space versus them just being able to lock us out, compress space, and squeeze the gap.
Yeah, makes sense. I would also you talked about the margin for error, Bryan, a little bit ago. I want to say this too. They had 3 fumbles that could have been recovered by Texas. And all of those negatives y'all mentioned, whether it was the run game, the punting, the penalties, field goals, all of that stuff, Texas still lost in overtime.
Yeah.
And the game was still this close, and I think that's what bothers me. And I said this in the post game, what bothers me the most is a championship was there for the taking. And we just didn't get there. Bryan, we were talking in pre-meeting here, the red zone offense for Texas was a particular issue. Texas was on the 14-yard line going in on Saturday night and did not get it done. And you said it was eerily reminiscent to you of what happened against Washington a year ago in the playoffs.
Yeah, I did. I feel like I was watching the semifinal game all over again at the end when we were just flailing passes into the corner of the end zone, hoping we could win a one-on battle instead of still trying to scheme up some things to attack the middle of the field. Got the ball on the 14-yard line, 40 seconds or so left in the game, got a timeout. We got to get that ball in the end zone. And I think we've got to still be more schematic with what we do instead of throwing a fade to Wingo. It seemed like we threw a fade to Wingo like 4 times in a row, and he hadn't gotten but 1 or 2 balls the whole prior game. And so, and then we throw one to DeAndre Moore out to the right side. So I feel like there were a lot of fade balls and corner balls going to the pylon, trying to finesse that thing into the end zone. In the middle of the field, we attacked him in the middle of the field the whole game. And the middle of the field was there for the taking. I felt like the time we threw it to Wingo and they had a safety over the top of it, Wingo made a valiant effort to it and landed on his back and all that good stuff. Well, back to the trip side, we had Golden come wide open, and that's the side we should have worked. We should have worked the trip side because there's a safety and a corner over the top of the one receiver side. Bob, I'll tell you, I mean, if the boundary safety is over there on the one receiver side, you don't work the one receiver side. You go the trip side, and that was there. And then the very next play, I believe, we throw the corner out to DeAndre Moore to the right side, and we've got Blue in the game, and he's running an HBO route, an option route, and he comes wide screaming open. He slants it inside. The outside linebacker's trying to cover him. He breaks it off inside. He catches it. He's going to walk in the end zone. So we just didn't go the right places. I didn't feel like, and I would like to see us attack the middle of the field more in those situations to try to get that thing in the end zone.
All right, I'm going to talk to you guys next about Clemson and what we're looking at there. But first, I want to say thank you to our sponsor. Each and every Lunch with the Coach brought to you by our friend Laura Baker at Keller Williams Realty. If she is the Austin area expert, she knows everything about the town and as well as Georgetown, Round Rock, greater Austin area. She's a lifelong Austinite. 512-784-0505. That's 512-784-0505. Reach out to her at Laura at andyallenteam.com. If you're moving to, from, or within the Austin metro area, make sure you give Laura a chance to earn your business. All right, guys. You guys, this is a little bit different for college coaches going into a tournament, right? Where there's 12 teams. You guys have played in tournaments your entire lives as coaches, right? What's the difference here as Texas faces Clemson and then on and on and on, whoever they may play? Bob, I'll give you a chance to go first a little bit. What are your thoughts on how Texas necessarily needs to treat this differently, even than a 14 playoff, right? Where you only have to win 2 games. This is 12 where the Longhorns, if they were to win a national championship, they got to win 4.
Yeah, it'd be a crazy 15-game winning season. Certainly would break a record. I always did it, and I got the idea from a buddy of mine, but I always did a playoff manual for each round, and I gave it to the players, and it was stuff for them to focus on each week. I would ask them questions, basically homework. They'd have to fill it out about their assignments, about the people they're going up against, all that stuff, and really making sure they understand what's at stake that week, who they're playing, what their strengths are. Tried to keep them focused. Every day we went to that manual and looked back in there and pulled things out of it. There were a lot of motivational quotes and a lot of things that I got from former players and former coaches, encouragement and all that stuff. And I only did that to help them stay focused on this week. Nothing else matters. Nothing else matters. It's all 100% on this week. I don't even look at the brackets. I don't even care who we're playing next week. We got Clemson this week. 100% total focus on them, because obviously it doesn't take an Einstein to figure out that if we don't beat them, we stay home. And for us to achieve our goals and our dreams that we started almost a year ago, then we've got to put 100% effort into Clemson, and we've got to walk off that field leaving no doubt in anybody's mind who the better football team was.
Brian, what do you think? What's the mantra?
Yeah, I think one thing we always do is ask ourselves, and I especially ask myself as a head coach, and we'd ask our staff, that's where it started, is what can we do? What changes can we make? What tweaks do we need to make to give us the best chance to win a state championship? That's the goal. It didn't matter if I limped into the playoffs or we're undefeated, man. We were believing we're going to win the whole thing. And that's the way we approached every day. So my thing is, what can we do? What can Coach Sark and coaching staff do? What changes do they need to make to give our guys the best chance to win the national championship? Because the body works the body work. We are who we are. We've scored 20, 31, 17, and 19 the last 4 games. We've got to score more points. Got to score more points to win this thing. So what can we do to give ourselves the best chance? Where do you stand pat, and where do you change? What do you tweak? What do you really roll the dice on a little bit as far as changes that you need to make schematically or personnel wise? And to me, if I'm the coach of this team and I'm looking at it very, very honestly and candidly, defense, don't change a thing. Just you are who you are. We know our strengths. We know our weaknesses. Obviously, there doesn't need to be personnel changes, things like that. Offensively, I'd consider two things. I would consider, if Banks is healthy, somehow getting Gooseby into that line. At guard's really the only spot you can get him in there. But I'd consider getting him into the line at guard. The dude is physical. The dude is nasty. The dude is mean, and he's proven he's a championship caliber club. Can that give you that much more? Possibly. That's something I would consider, is getting Gooseby into the starting lineup if Banks is healthy. If Banks is not healthy, then this is a moot point. Secondly, I'm going to get Arch more involved. I'm not saying he's our starting quarterback. I'm not saying Quinn's not the starting quarterback. I'm saying I'd get Arch more involved in the package, in the running game. Again, what Bob was talking about a while ago, you line up and play Georgia again, and we're a long way from Georgia. I get it. But you line up and play Georgia again, you better completely change what you approach, because we're not going to line up in the pistol and hand the ball off to Wisner and gain a yard. It's just not going to happen. But could we do something like Georgia Tech did and move the football and run the football with an aggressive quarterback run scheme? So to me, those are your only options there to really make personnel changes and dramatic scheme type changes. It's not really scheme. It's more personnel to try to give your team the best chance it can have to win a national championship. I'm just being brutally honest. That's what I would look at. Secondly, and special teams goes in there too. I'm not going to get into that, but special teams, do we need to change kickers? Is Preston Stone a better option? Hey, let's see. I mean, he can miss just like Auburn can miss. So let's see, but we got to at least find out. And so special teams is not off the table. I'm just not going to go there. So defensively, I wouldn't do anything to keep getting better. Offensively, I look at a couple personnel tweaks and changes to make my team better and give my team the best chance to win the national championship. And then secondly, our deal is always our best game needs to be our last game. The best game we play needs to be the last game. And the only thing I can't stomach right now is we haven't played that best game yet. And are we? This would be the huge challenge to my team. If I'm Sark and I'm in that team room, are we going to play our best football game and our best football before this season ends? Are we? Because we haven't. We played a great first half against Texas A&M. But guys, the second half was just as ugly as some of the Georgia debacles. So that would be number two, is are we going to play our best game, the last game? And is our last game of the year going to be our best game? We got to play your best football at the end of the year, period. You got to play. That's what championship clubs do. You play your best football at the end of the year. And then thirdly, when you got a chance. That was our mantra. Win this week, in 2 weeks, win this game, and we got a chance. Beat Clemson, and we got a chance to win the whole thing. Once we do that, beat Arizona State, and we got a chance. But right now, Arizona State, none of those people matter. Beat Clemson, and we got a chance to win a national championship. Now, if that doesn't give you goosebumps, guys, nothing will. Just win this week or next week against Clemson, and we got a chance to be national champions.
Do y'all think, speaking of that, that's good stuff, Bryan and Bob, do y'all think Texas has what it takes to win a national championship?
Yes. Yeah.
Both y'all nodding your head. Let's see.
I do.
Bob, why do you think they have a chance?
Well, I mean, we've showed it this year. We just haven't put it all together for 4 quarters in a football game. Our offense has shown we could be one of the most elite offenses in college football. Our defense shows every week. Special teams in the past, we've seen and made the comment, not recently, but hey, we've got the best special team staff in the country. You know, it's all been there, but like Bryan said, it hasn't all come together in one game. And so that's what great teams do this time of year. It's what Bryan was saying. It's everybody coming together and saying, we're going to play our best football of the year because this could be our last game. Got to be our best game of the year. And, you know, it's just, again, I hate to go back and say this, and it sounds trivial. It sounds like a cop-out. But the better you match up with these teams, scheme-wise and personnel-wise, the easier it's going to do to control those 3 parts of the game.
What about you, Bryan? You think they have a chance?
Yeah, because defense travels. You know, we've all three said it. Defense travel. Defense is going to keep us in any game we play. I think we match up well against Clemson. If I'm the coach, that's all I'm talking about. I guess we're not coaches now, but so we can talk about whatever and down the road and matchups. But I think we match up against anybody that's out there. Out of the 12 teams, we know who the worst matchup is. We played them twice, and they beat us twice. I think that's the worst matchup for us. But you know what? We would tweak some things, change some things, and we could turn a negative into a positive in a hurry, just like they did when they lost their starting quarterback. They turned a negative into a positive with energy, with leadership, with fight, with determination. That team stepped up and said, man, this ain't going down like this. Our backup quarterback, we're gonna play better. That's how our team's got to play with our starting quarterback, or if Arch comes in the game for a few plays. So, yeah, I think we've got it. I think we've got. You know, we're definitely in the top 3 teams in the country. I think it's Texas, Georgia, Oregon, and we ain't got to play all of them. You know,
maybe
well,
you do.
We might. We don't have to play all of them at once, but, you know, we get to play them one at a time. And, you know, there's no doubt. But the mantra by the kids and by the coaches is just win, just beat Clemson. Just put all your focus in on that and don't worry about the road. The road's the road. You know, Bob, man, we had to play 6 games. 6 games. When you start looking at the road, you get weary in a hurry. You can't look at the road. It's too long. It's too tough. It's too rocky, it's too dirty, it's too dusty. It's hard as hell to do it. You just got to look at this today, then tomorrow, then the next day, and then let's line it up and let's get the bands and the cheerleaders and everybody together and let's go get after it. And if you win, you go do it again, and then you turn around and you're there. You turn around and you're at the end. But if you try to look at the end right now, you'll go crazy.
Get lost on the way, man. That's what'll happen. Hey, thank you again to both of you, Coach Shipley and Coach Erwin. Thank you also to Laura Baker, our coach, if you need one for Austin real estate. Laura at andyallenteam.com, 512-784-0505. She's been our sponsor all year long. Thank you very much, Laura. Again, 512-784-0505. She is your Austin real estate expert. All right, guys, y'all have any final words for this lunch with the coach? Put it out there. If I left anything on the table that y'all want to drag out or what have you. Bob, you have anything?
What are you doing Saturday, Bobby?
I don't have any college football to watch. I don't know what I'm going to do. What are you doing?
I don't know.
Army Navy, baby. Army Navy.
Oh, there we go. There we go. All right. That's going to do it, guys. Y'all have a good one. Thanks again to everybody for watching. Thanks also to Coach Shipley and Coach Erwin, as well as to our producer, Matt Hutchinson. Guys, y'all have a good one and hook them. Y'all have a good lunch.
Welcome.